Emma.
Hello, welcome to day 3, implementation of the timeless sales experience. This is just going to be like super low key format. So we can just talk through whatever. If you're like, oh, I don't really like to come off of mute right away and just want to drop something in the chat, then we can chitter chat that way. But ultimately, the mute rule is off, which feels really great because I'm just like, I don't want to be the only one talking. I'm going to talk to you guys. But I might populate some things that are coming up just with consulting clients in case that gets conversation going. If you're like, oh, I don't have a lot of questions. So I'm curious if you guys do have questions or if you'd like me to start sharing like what we're working on behind the scenes with like intensive clients and long-term consulting clients. Y'all can't be silent today. I can't.
I have actually not had time to sit down and write down questions like I wanted to.
Okay.
But as we go through this, I'm sure some will come up.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like and some of the stuff you and I have been talking about in our intensive is just like objections, kind of neutralizing that.
Yeah. And now that we've landed on like what my Enneagram and stuff is, like definitely, and I talked to you, I left a voice note about this to you this morning in Boxer, but like I found Sarah Jane's Instagram profile, so like going through it and exploring and like really digging deeper into how I can use this to my advantage with sales and relationships and different things like that. But now that we have like all of the messaging and stuff taken care of, now it's time to like hunker down and do my least favorite part, which is content creation, like creating the content that is updated with the new messaging.
Okay.
So now I'm trying to decide because I don't have like a content calendar and like I'm a visual person, big picture person. And so like just trying to figure out what platform, like I've been looking through like Notion, OG Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out because I've never done that before and like had an actual content calendar. So like trying to take my strategy and translate it into creating the content.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm asking.
This is my like jam.
Yeah.
I've done this a few times for people. Personally, I really love Airtable or Notion
Okay, yeah.
to build out content calendars because you can organize them by theme, you can organize them like there's just 1,000 different ways to organize it by like platform. You can have like if you have like a weekly theme, you could talk about how you're gonna repurpose that over the week. It's my jam. Those are my recommendations as somebody who does like a lot of these.
What is your Instagram so I can follow you?
It's arianarodriguez.co. It is my URL for my website. It is the same thing everywhere.
We love that. We love that for you. It's like my biggest pain is like, is this going to be available? Is this going to be available?
Another system strategist. I love it.
Yes. Oh yeah. Hi everyone, welcome on. Okay, so we're old school. We use Google Sheets. I like learned that way back when. It's my favorite place to play and hang. I'll share my screen if I can find our launch calendar for a hot minute. But then we take everything to, oh yeah, this is scary. Don't be scared of this is what I'm gonna say. It looks really intense, but after we put it into Google Sheets, we go over to Google Docs. I write all the captions. Emma comes in, takes it all. Her magic starts, and she creates the carousels, the reels, whatever. Those were the two pieces that were working the best on Instagram. And then I'm also creating the emails in terms of captions, and then we drag and drop into, what do we use? ActiveCampaign. And we just have like a cute little, yeah, Erin's laughing at me. We have a cute little canned email set up. And we wanted to like really focus on Instagram. I didn't feel like we wanted to launch this on LinkedIn. Pinterest pins are a whole other experience that's happening that has nothing to do with the launch. Emma is the queen. If she'd like to come off mute and share her process, that is cool. And then Facebook, just like a little landing page. Like we just want people to always be able to go there and say like, seems like a real business still, so solid. And it just acts as like a cute little traffic driver. So here's my share. Again, this is wild looking, but wrong screen. Y'all, are you seeing this like spreadsheet, or are you seeing this? You're seeing the spreadsheet. Okay, solid. It's saying that it's sharing my main screen, so whatever may come. So we start here, but honestly, Shannon, I feel like with the brand image messaging guide, you've got to stay in Google Docs first. I need you to get creative based on what you've been sharing with me. I don't want you to get so into a structure yet until we embrace that creativity, because you can handle structure. You know how to structure things. That's not hard. But what it sounds like is creativity is a little bit more like, I feel like I'm repeating myself all the time, marketing in general, but also like business boundaries and business like margins. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm just sharing with you.
We've been having some like Zoom things happening. We have a crazy like wind experience. So if I freeze, y'all just let me know. So if you started with your messaging guide on one side of your screen and then this other piece over here, and really focused on like, what's my main business goal? You're driving to people booking with you, right? For, I would say the VIP kind of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pulling that apart based on the objections you've been getting, the brand messaging guide in general, like what makes you different as a founder, what makes you different as a strategist, why you felt like this was the best container versus like, I think it's like a 6 to 12 week build or something that we talked about. Yeah. And I think at some point you should have a longer time frame. Which I was like, go to Ashton for that creation in the academy.
Like, because I left a couple of notes about that too, because like,
yeah,
working with both of you guys has made me realize like I want to do longer containers, but it's obviously difficult to do that with systems because I don't want to drag it off because they're needed. And so like I've been seriously considering like completely pivoting from Dubsado setups, but I have no idea what. So
whoa. Wait a second, hold on.
well, I know it's all over the place, but like I'm not, that's for later on down the road though.
Okay.
Down the road. Yeah. Sorry, didn't
like right
out.
I have thoughts because I'm also like going through something similar. So I don't just stick to one system. Sorry, my daughter's yelling down the stairs at me, so just please ignore the child yelling. She's okay. My husband's there. I do like I'm tech agnostic, so I don't believe like one system will work for everybody. I like to experiment with systems with people, and I'm very much a like I get to know you, and then I will make recommendations on systems. So my system build outs tend to take a little bit longer, and I build out for the entire company. I don't just do like a single process. Like that's my core offer. I do have like one process, one build out VIP days. Um, and then, but having said that, I am thinking of putting out some kind of retainer package. I have no idea what the hell this is going to look like because my people are always asking me, like, how do I book you after we're done? Because I have other things that I need. One, I either have other things that I need or I'm going to need some kind of upkeep, right? And I don't want to learn this. So I'm playing around with what that looks like.
Yeah, I have very recently started offering maintenance packages like after their VIP week is finished. I was like, hey, if you still want upkeep, like updating forms, canned emails, workflows, anything. Because I always say like it's a journey, not a mountaintop. experience. So like your systems are going to need to grow and change as you and your business grow and change.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just started offering like monthly retainer packages, and I'm still working out what that looks like as well, like hourly, do it by hours a month, do it just like a whole quarter. I don't know. So I'm working on that as well. And I've thought about, because for right now I'm just doing Dubsado because I've been using the software for a couple of years now, and I'm really confident in setting that up with other people. But I'm like Airtable, ClickUp, and other systems like that, I'm not as familiar with, so I don't feel as confident in doing that with other people. But I guess because this has been coming up more, so maybe I just need to take it upon myself to like carve out time to learn the system so that I can add those to my offer suite, and do like a multi-system setup if they need it, or like
Those are
picking
fun.
the ones they need. So
There's so many ideas and I love like all of it. And I feel like Ashton noted something really great and I feel like I'm gonna lose it. I think your systems brain can be used for so many other things, but doesn't require a total pivot away from Dubsado, maybe just some expansion.
Yeah.
That's totally in alignment with what I was thinking too. I was watching someone the other day that was like, I can't remember her name. She said something to the effect of like, I'm known as the Dubsado queen, but you didn't know that I do this and this and this as well. And I think she was focused on launch since everyone's in Black Friday. So, you know, there's like so much to expand and pivot on there as well. And I am not against like the Scrappy Sally move of just like putting information out there, not to confuse the audience, more like but more like what can we do to show that we have more that we could do and kind of intrigue the audience on like what we might be able to offer. And we've been doing that obviously with the sales course for a long time and co-creation. And when it was an automatic yes, it was like, okay, this is the better move to go forward with versus a group program, which is what we were originally going to, I think, launch first. I can't really remember, Ash. One of the two. It's been a long year in the best way. So I'm excited to see what comes forth. I feel like I just want to like call too. Be like, what's going on? Crystal, what's going on in your life? How are you feeling?
Yeah, after yesterday, I was definitely in some of that overwhelm that you're like, you're going to be overwhelmed day 2. But I had a good journal session and then a really great coaching session this morning that just kind of helped me shift out of it.
Yeah.
And I think a question that I have is how to be in the space of like building and flexing these like sales skills while also tending to like brand messaging and building out those marketing pieces, and making sure I'm not, I think sales is the easiest one to ignore for me. So like, yeah, making sure I'm tending to those and being focused on like what's really important too. So yeah, I think that's the question that's like sitting with me is like prioritizing and yeah, just having a process to what that looks like too.
I love that. Prioritizing, I feel like, is the number one thing that I'm always like, okay, what's the big main priority here? Especially when rolling out new information or testing out new theories, whatever it might be. It's like, you guys remember that little like rhyme of, I'm gonna mess it up, but like your old friends are gold, even if your new friends are like silver and shiny or something like that. When you're testing out a new theory.
Singing that in my head last night.
No way. Wait, so what is the rhyme? Because I feel like I butchered it. Oh no.
I was also trying to remember the first line, but it was the new are silver, but the old are gold. But make good friends, but keep the old. Some are silver and the other gold.
That was like such a pleasant, delightful surprise. I feel that way when we're testing something new in business, and it's easy to hear rhetoric of like, stay focused, don't go on the shiny and like shiny object syndrome. But I feel like you're so rooted in what you do and like who you're here to serve that you're able to test this mostly, I would say, in conversations, because you're really good at marketing. I can tell exactly what you do, how you offer what you offer. We can always dig deeper into the why and like, how is this going to transform you after? Because adults already have such a keen objection of, I do not have time to get creative. Creativity pushes are for work, not for fun. So if you market it around that, like, what would it look like to have a life where you're creative and you're not? I do this as a creative. I push myself with some kind of fun thing, like a scary movie, or going hiking and seeing all of this like beauty, and then coming home and I'm like, okay, this creativity that's now in my body is for work. But if I had a creativity coach where I was like, oh, I can just do this just to experience it, that would be life-changing. And I think if you tested out the 10,000 word theory and probably the Ford theory in conversations and just focused on those two, you would see a massive shift in like leads coming to you because they feel safe and comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And I really like that 'cause on day one, when you had us do the hate versus love
Mhm.
piece, conversations was in the love category, but I was feeling like, okay, where am I missing out on that? So I love the like bridge between that and then those actual ways of having the conversations, like starting them and then developing them.
Because I feel like you would be comfortable to invite someone into something if you had that relationship built. Like, would you say that's true? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Especially with like your fundraising background, like what you said about vision and the membership of like, we held the vision and we ran for it and it wasn't weird to invite people in. That's how I felt when we were fundraising for the University of Florida. It's just like, this money doesn't mean anything for my paycheck. This means like our law students are helped over and over and over again. And that was more important than kind of some like awkward tension weirdness of, okay, I'm going to this person that's a billionaire and like, hopefully they'll give us some of this billion into the university. But they liked having a plaque on the wall and they liked being able to come to exclusive events and feel seen and heard. And I guess a part of the kind of unity core of sales psychology too, of like, I'm in this room with other people that are giving back into the new like lawyers and attorneys of the world, because they definitely didn't just stay in Florida by any means.
Yeah.
So when you have that vision and mission for your company, you can kind of separate yourself, your worth and your value as a person, because you can just get into fundraising mode, you know?
Yeah, no, I really like that. It's like you're taking that like, oh, I'm awkward, fear of rejection, kind of just parking it so that that conversation can actually happen.
I like parking it. That's so cute. May quote you on that one. It's funny you say rejection because we were talking with a client this morning that was like, I just didn't expect so much rejection on this launch because we were co-creating this for so many months. And I thought I had the right like market fit. Like there are several pieces, but what we didn't expect was like a full-on recession and the inflation, and that many of her more like messy middlers heading towards established business owners would already have invested. Like we really felt like we had a sweet spot, but when she pushed back the launch by about 3 weeks. And I really feel like that window is so important, because I don't know if y'all noticed, but Amazon has launched Black Friday 3 times since October 1st. 3 times. So we're all just like kind of fighting for attention. The recession is happening. Meta let go of like 13% of their company this morning. And Twitter is about to do the same. So like just a lot is happening. And if people have Apple News up and the news on all the time, we're just hearing the headlines of pain versus this pleasure of what else can happen. Pleasure and optimism, enthusiasm, which is like me through and through. And I feel like if we can add that into our sales conversations and invitations, people will feel it too. It's like fun to invest. And it's fun to stretch our capacities and try something new when everything else is like not, I don't want to say not working, but needs to be like shined up a little bit. So for the rejection part, she's been working on kind of neutralizing that inside of herself of like, this has very little to do with me. This is her own, this is their own current response to the state of the market. But I can help them see like, this will still be available for you in the future. There's payment plans. There's ways that we can work this out for you. So I'm curious of like, when you've invited folks in, or I don't want to assume that like that you have invited folks in and have received rejection, but I'm curious if you have and kind of like what you do when it happens.
Yeah, it's not something I've done a ton of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's been very few rejections because I haven't been going that way in the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Are we scared? Are we scared of rejection at all? Or do you feel comfortable around rejection?
I think it's something I'm growing
Yeah.
in my comfort in for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think through like this week and then being in the coalition, I've been realizing like where I haven't like been taking the conversations, like I've just been kind of leaving them.
Mhm.
And then expecting someone to come and like take that initiative.
Yeah.
Whereas seeing where I can like lead the conversation and just continue it instead of just like, oh, I've engaged with them and started this relationship and then it just kind of gets left there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't had a ton of those experiences where I've been on like a discovery call or a sales call or been at the point of like invited someone and then they said no. Like there's been some, but
Yeah.
I really truly haven't. That's like definitely an area of growth for me is taking it there. Yeah.
Okay. When they have rejected, have they given a reason why? Like money, time, effort?
Yeah, typically money and then time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like you know how to respond to an objection like that? Or would you want to walk through that at all? I feel like this is helpful for everyone. So if you want to, we can.
Yeah, I feel like I have some pieces. And then what you were saying yesterday before we hopped on the live around not like people not really knowing what creativity coaching is.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's given me not only for like content and marketing, but also bringing that into those conversations too.
Yeah.
So that people are really seeing what is involved versus like we're having the conversation and they're having those assumptions
Mhm.
and they're just kind of probably being left there. And then they come up obviously when they end up saying no or just stopping the conversation.
Yeah. Which also
So,
kind of feels like a rejection in itself.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like what we love to do with objections, and we do it kind of in a sneaky way, but you know, I don't know if you guys like hang out on your Instagram Explore page, but I just feel like so disempowered every time I go to explore. Like, I think yesterday I saw like stop using Canva and get off of Instagram, and I was like, Canva is a great tool for small business owners. Like, just started thinking of all these reasons why I have an objection to that. And so we do the reverse in marketing and we empower objections. Of course, you're going to have questions. Of course, you're going to be curious of like, will this help you in the future? And taking creativity coaching and kind of like, I don't want to say ripping it apart because it's just like such an extreme analogy, but kind of ripping it apart to say, what is creativity coaching? How will it help you for the rest of your life once you learn this skill set? How does it help you with your family, with your children, with work, with your own personal peace? Like it kind of touches on the whole pie of life. Like if you can be creative and really just your experience yesterday within your session, I was trying to think of the word, within your session, that opened up so much for so many people, including myself, of like, wow, I can't wait for the weekend when I can sit down and like have everything away and just focus on what brought me like so much joy when I was just creating for creativity's sake. And we're heading towards Christmas, so it'd be a great time to even say like, what if you got creative for the holidays for your people, which also helps with money. It's not everyone's got hundreds of thousands of dollars to drop on family every December, but they want to. So kind of thinking like, I think there's a portion in the day 2 workbook of like the dominant buying motive for each offer based on past, current, and hypothetical future clients with that data in mind. You could take that a little bit further and say, what are the objections they would have for each offer? And how can I talk about those with kind curiosity and help neutralize them in my marketing? Since 90% of the sale is done based on marketing before they're even talking to you. You could be a mind reader. Like they would just be like, wait, I already had that thought and now I don't have to talk to her about it. Maybe this could help me at work and with my family. What if I could help my whole family get creative and like pass this skill set on as like a legacy funded experience of just, I mean, Krista, that's big. Like what if what if little babies at like 5 and 6 one day are teaching their 5 and 6-year-olds how to get creative just for fun? Special. Does that help a little bit of like kind curiosity?
Yeah, absolutely. That's so helpful. I'm definitely going to need to listen to the replay and soak up what you just said all over again. Yeah. Pause like every 2 seconds. No, that was super helpful. Thank you.
Yay. I'm so glad. So glad. Emma said my explore page is just overwhelming, like good for inspiration, but only if I'm in the right mindset. Preach. Otherwise, it just feels like the floodgates of comparison opens up when I look at my explore page. Same. When we were connecting with so many brand designers, I was like, wow, we should change our whole brand. Like, this is so sexy, so sleek. And I was like, wait. Amanda said, I hardly ever look at mine. The only time I do is if I'm looking for cold leads to connect with on other accounts. Oof, but I love that response. We love this. The explore page is dangerous. I feel like we should all just take that to our Instagram feeds today. The explore page is dangerous. Take peace. Angela, what's on your mind? What are you thinking today? Miss Booked Out, can't even book you.
Hello, what's on my mind is feeling like I don't want to get, okay, I wrote down in my notes of like, I don't want to like feel complacent of like, things are going good right now. And then like 6 months from now, I'm like, I didn't keep up with the things that I should have kept up with.
Oh
You know
my
what I mean?
gosh.
So I'm trying to like work on the content planning aspect of things, like keep relationships warm
Mhm.
and not just be like, oh, because I think people get caught into that trap where they're like, things are good right now. And then you get 6 months down the line, you're like, oh, shoot, haven't talked to anybody for like 4 months and like haven't communicated what I do and like been moving those relationships forward. And I also feel like it kind of gets into like a weird lull where if you're like, if I don't have space for somebody for a while, you're like, what do I do with this relationship? That's how I feel right now.
Pre-book with a cute little intensive beforehand and a workflow.
Yeah.
Candy.
That's what I've been thinking.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to create like whatever the thing would be to give them.
Yeah.
If we're doing an intensive, like what, like some videos or something to like keep them moving.
Ooh, a video library would be so fun. And like
Yeah.
more effective versus your time.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
I like
You're
it too.
You're also not complacent anyways, because I'm going to go ahead and say like some folks may retain with you just because money takes a while to really, do the thing.
Yeah.
Management in general takes a little hot minute. So
Yeah.
do you want to expand at all? I know like one-on-one and booking that out was like a big goal. And now you've
Yeah,
achieved it.
that's something I've been thinking about too, is like an intensive session, but then I keep coming back to the idea that like I don't feel that it's exactly what people need.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, well, I just took your money and you're gonna have a hard time implementing this. And I don't like that, because I have done a couple of those before, and then I check on people and they're like, life just got busy and
Mhm.
you didn't have time to like establish the habits together and like ask questions. And so I don't know. I really do like just the one-on-one,
Mhm.
but also obviously there's going to be a point where it's like, I would like to help more people, but where do I put them?
Where do I put them?
Where's the little jar? Where do I put them?
I want to know, Ashton, what do you think? I thought group program too, but I don't, if I remember correctly, you didn't like group. Did you
A
not like
group program would be okay. Like maybe a mastermind, because then I feel like, because a lot of people are in the similar situation,
Yeah.
but it's also very personal. So that it's like, people are like, I have only ever shared this with you, not with anybody else. So, I mean, it could be like a really cool environment where if people were open to sharing those things, it could be really neat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Have you ever asked like past one-on-one clients how this would have felt more comfortable and like time? I don't want to say time restrictive, but like a better time balance than always meeting with you and having Voxer and like
Mhm.
doing their habits
No,
on.
I haven't done that.
Okay.
I mean, like less time together is what you're thinking?
Deeper support still somehow, like a video library or like you're saying, a mastermind, I think would be really cool. We just created a mini mind alongside a client, and she was really deciding whether or not to add in Voxer at all or to have like a group Voxer, and she just checks in once a week. So we went through like several options and landed on Circle as her community.
Mhm.
Messages for check-ins, like literal text service, for more personalized check-ins, because she's a mom that like didn't want to have 20 to 30 minutes every single day to Voxer back.
Mhm.
But then she decided to add in one-on-one Voxer with minimal time frame, kind of like what we talked about, like a 2-minute limit. And she
Mhm.
feels like that's just a great boundary and safeguard. But I don't know that that would really like work for your arena if people are feeling, I don't know, people feel a lot of judgment about their marketing and sales structures too, just like
Right.
constant. Sometimes it feels like an interior designer, like, oh, I cannot believe my house looks that bad. It's like, we're literally here to fix your house.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
As
we're
much as you do.
nobody cares. Yeah. So maybe just seeing like how would someone feel comfortable to share that with a community support area?
Mhm.
Maybe you want to have a retreat too.
Yeah, retreat. I totally forgot about that. I would like to do that.
That
That
would
would
be
be
so
fun.
much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe some market research calls and like chitter chatting and comp analysis. I don't feel like I've ever met someone that does what you do that wasn't attached to like financial planning and wealth building investment wise. Like I feel like that's the only comparable, which sucks because we just need money management. We need more
Yeah.
available everywhere.
Right. Well, I think that's the gap. Is like, it's either like, I mean, like, I'm sure all of you here are like, have you ever thought about paying a professional financial planner, you're probably like, let me wait till I'm almost retired and then I'll do that. But it's like a huge gap where you're like, I have money every day. What do I do with it? There's nobody to really help you with that.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. I mean, do you guys have like thoughts? Angela, if you want to share like what you do through and through, that might help us to generate a little idea.
Mm-hmm. So I just do one-on-one right now for 3 months or 6 months. We can extend, but it's like very time intensive with each person. So like I basically feel capped out at like 3 to 4 people, because it's like your business and your life finances on a very intense basis every day. So I don't know if that answered your question. No, I'm not a CFP. Just a regular gal.
Which is so fun. Like I feel like I don't know if you've taken your brand like archetype quiz.
I did. I meant to send that to you. I
Yeah.
forget what it is.
I feel like you're like the girl next door, the girl guy next door, married with like a sage, married with like a magician. Like, I'm gonna magically help you get your money in place. And you're gonna think it's like tiresome at the beginning, and then you lean into that like guy girl next door, like, I'm gonna bring you some cookies while you're solving these problems.
Right.
I feel like it just needs to be like banking and bakery. Like, that's just your vibe. And then how does it get married together? Aaron said, oh.
But like, I'm also okay with just having 3 to 4 clients at a time.
Yeah, right.
You know, like sometimes I feel that pressure where you're like, you have to create a membership, and I master it. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I don't want to. Because I like having time to like at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm like done for the day, and I can go to dinner and hang out. And it's like, do I want to like, okay, now I have to go check on my membership in my group. It, like, I don't like the feeling of being spread so thin and then feeling like I feel frantic. Maybe that's not correct for you guys, but then I'm like, gotta go do all these things.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't want to do that.
Yeah, this is your business, your company, your legacy. I definitely feel some like frantic at times to like make sure I'm performing well in all areas.
Yeah.
That's probably like my number one thought in my head. Like, am I performing well enough?
Yeah.
I feel like if I personally was like, well, I cannot afford Angela, and I have this debt, and I want to money manage, and I need the legacy like foundation pieces to be able to teach my family to do this, I would just really want a course. I would really just want like an educational space for upsells available where I could touch base with you, but not for 6 or 12 months if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Because people are really good at like educating. I know a lot of people hate on courses, but there are people out there like myself that finishes every course. We just don't hear.
Most people just kind of need like the basics to get started, because they're like, I literally just don't know where to even begin. That would be a good spot. Yeah, good job, Bianca. Just got out of debt a couple weeks ago. That makes me happy.
Yeah, over six figures in 4 years and 10 months.
I know that must have been a slog through the mud.
Been major, but it's very exciting to be out of debt, I will say. But for us as well, it was also a girl next door money coach that actually got us on the right path. So wasn't you, because I didn't know you yet, but
regardless, that's
regardless. But yeah, I mean, I've had financial planners my whole life, and it's a financial planner who wants to plan which investments you buy from them. Whereas
like,
I was
6 figures in debt.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, like, I remember going to this financial planner who my husband has had for 25 years and going, we are 6 figures in debt. How do we change what we're doing now to, we can maybe put you on a 6-month holiday on your retirement annuity payments. I'm like, that's not going to get us out of six figures a date. But yeah, so it was finding a wealth coach is what she called herself, who got us on the right track. And I mean, that's exactly what I said. Now I'm out of date. I can afford to pay someone more to help me plan better.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's so amazing. Congratulations again. I could just like send you champagne right now. And I feel like Angela feels the same. Like it's just like such a curiosity too of like if this gal would have called herself like money coach versus wealth coach, would you have known? I'm just always curious about this because Angela and I talked about this probably for what, 5 months out of the 6 months, like, should I be a CFO coach? So how did you like, oh, what? Champagne.
That was our champagne in front of our budget.
That's such a perfect image. Oh my gosh. But if the wealth coach would have called herself a money coach, do you feel like you would have known exactly what she was doing, or vice versa? I'm just very curious on my end. Nothing for Angela.
So she sort of used them interchangeably, but she specifically talked, whenever she talks about money, she talks about a mindful money coach, or a wealth coach. And so you kind of had a very different than just sort of a money coach is going to tell you to use a budget and put your money in envelopes and those sorts of things, where the mindful money coach, she was doing a lot of work on the mindset behind your money beliefs and all of that sort of stuff.
That's so good. Okay. I was just super curious. It's funny you say letters. I think Angela's had a content piece about that before. Chris and I tried it for literally a month, and every time I was like, screw this. I literally gave him the envelopes and was just like, I'm never doing that again. We're digital for a reason. Okay. I feel like YNBA. I don't know what that is.
YNAB, you need a budget.com
Oh, okay.
online budgeting app, but it's got their phone app is really good as well, and they've just released Budget Together. So you can each have your own budgets and have a shared budget, and because you used to have to log in with the same login and that got confusing, but now you each can link your own bank accounts and things, which is quite handy.
That's so amazing. Okay. I'm gonna write that down. Well, I have it in the chat, but I'm gonna write it down for us. We've been using like Intuit and Mint, and we're like okay with it, but she's not like our biggest love. A little Emma budgeting with her envelopes. You budget with envelopes? Stop. You do?
My mom is like budget, like she's a money queen, like she just runs everything. And like as kiddos, me and my sister would have to sit through like these budget videos, and she'd like teach us how to plan our money, and like she'd check our little envelopes and we'd label them. And as a kid, it wasn't fun. Every Thursday it was like family budget night. But then as like a young adult, I'm like, I'm so appreciative of that time. So it worked out fine.
Oh my gosh. That makes me like teary to think of you so little, just like
I was like, I'm so lame. I'm planning money. All my friends are out playing, and my mom is having me sit, plan a budget.
And here you are, one of the like most savviest adults I know.
Thanks. So I was like, I give it all credit to my mom. I was like, I'm only living by myself because of my mother. So props to Robin Ann.
You've got to text her that like today. Gratitude challenge. Thanks, Mom, for the envelopes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, anything else coming up for you guys? We're coming up on 1. This is your time to shine, or I can keep going on some like client stuff that's happening behind the scenes if that's helpful. If I see nods, I will, but otherwise unmute, feel good. Ingrid, you don't have to come off of mute, but feel free to like chat. Let us know how you are. Ashley, Kitty, same thing. Angela, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I feel like it would be helpful to see like an overview of how you plan content, of
Ooh.
like with your goal in mind,
Mhm.
and then like bringing in objections, stuff like that into your overview. Because that was the hardest thing for me to understand. He's like, what am I trying to do? And then as the end goal, and then the actual, how do I, because then it was just like staring at a blank page where you're like trying to come up with new ideas all the time is how it felt, instead
Yeah.
of like just hitting on the same stuff over and over and over again.
Which also kind of feels a little boring, like just like, okay, just saying the same stuff. It's funny you say that, because guess what tomorrow is? We're doing it. Marketing and sales as a power couple, how to really embrace objections inside of your content while sticking to brand messaging, updating it quarterly, not every 6 years or every 1 year after the fact. And then we are going to talk a little bit about trends, how to like infuse some trend. Emma's been so good at pushing me to infuse trends since she's come on. We gotta get a little Gen Z out here. So yeah, that'll be the big basis. But ultimately, I think of content as a Venn diagram at this point. I feel like I've finally landed on the concept that I love of just what's in the middle, the ideal client, all of their problems, the descriptor of them, and where they are in their business. And I would probably do that per offer at this point. That way, like when you are quote unquote launching or snoozer launching what you're doing, where it's just like real chill content coming up, you'll have this great little content web, this Venn diagram to be like, okay, this is the person, this is what they're going through. This is what we solve inside of the offer over here in this bubble. And how do I bridge them from here to here through objections, transformations, social proof, and a lot of the sales psychology pieces from yesterday of like, I want to build rapport. I want to have fun in my content as well. Because I think people can get kind of bored too. We had someone, a client was like, do you ever get tired of talking about legacy? Like, do you ever just want to talk about short-term focus? And I was like, yeah, all the time, but I don't want short-term focused people and consulting, coaching, the membership. So therefore, so that's tomorrow. And it'll be, I think I'm going to add in a lot of like visuals too. That way it's not just text on the screen, which will be different than I've ever done. Here's some screenshots of my whole Drive backend. How do you sell above the clients you've always had? I have an offer, but I have absolutely no idea how to get it in front of people that would see the value and be able to pay the price. Tell me more. This is good. This is good. Tell me about the past client.
So I run a tech VA agency. It's all self-taught, and we mainly assist creative females who are looking to teach online. I've so far almost all of the clients that we've worked with, that we've enjoyed working with, which is key, are very new to teaching online, but they're quite established in their careers. So my favorite clients have been photographers who have a thriving photography business and are now teaching their sort of niche photography to other photographers. Through this work, we've done a lot of launches. We've done over 25 launches. So I've put together an offer of all of the tech for your launch. It's a 6-month package, and our team will run the back end. We don't do copywriting or any of like helping you figure out what you're launching, but we'll run the tech for the launch. But at the price point that I've worked it out at, they would need to probably be in the early 6 figures to see the value in paying kind of a lump sum. And the only 2 high-end coaches that we've worked with were the worst experiences I've ever had in my business, because we weren't aligned or any of that. So part of it is I have a belief that six-figure coaches are horrible people, and aren't ever going to value a tech VA team, which I know I need to get over. But part of that is also figuring out, how do I get in front of six-figure coaches that actually do align with us?
Yeah. This is up to you if you feel comfortable, but do you feel like you have descriptors, not so much the whole story, but just like pieces of why those coaches weren't aligned? Like, what were their reactions and responses?
Yeah, so it was we were just a number to get a job done. The fact that we poured our lives into their business wasn't valued at all. So for us, and it's in the name of the package, we want to collaborate with someone. We want it to be a relationship. We want it to be, that is our value. Building relationships, working together with you so that you can stay in your zone of genius. And so the one thing was, we just felt like we were brought in to just fix stuff because we're really good at what we do and we're really good at fixing shit. And then as soon as everything was done, we were kind of let go of. And so there was no long-term relationship. There was no, I mean, the one hired us, we completed the project, they fired us, they hired us back 9 months later, and my Asana tasks were identical to when I'd started the year before. They'd gone backwards. And it was just like, all of this work that we put in had gone backwards because they'd had 4 different teams in the 8 months that we'd been gone. So, I mean, that's another like high team turnover. I mean, I worked with one coach for 6 months and she had 4 OBMs. So we were reporting to 4 different new people who were, so we're asking the same questions of someone new, didn't. So that was kind of, it was this vibe, and the business owner had no idea where stuff was or what was happening in the business either. So we were coming in trying to figure out where everything was, tying it all together, building out all these systems and asking questions, and they're going, oh, well, that shouldn't be live. I'm like, and then yelling at us going, why is that live? I'm like, I don't know, I just found the page from your website.
Dang. Okay. I'm popping a lot into the chat for you. I just lost my little view here, but I think there's going to be like a mishap in there. This is where I would literally start with your content and start campaigning this for the next like 90 days and just keep reiterating. Have you guys ever seen, like, brand designers do this a lot now, searching for ideal dream clients, and then they'll list out like specific industries that they're looking for? I've seen people absolutely be booked just based on that descriptor alone. And so there's like a fine line, and I know you're not going to do this, of us having these kind of harbored stories that we have to keep private because it's their private information, but we had a really shitty experience and therefore we don't want to repeat that experience. So talking against it, thinking almost like the country club versus bowling alley experience from yesterday. These folks sounded like bowling alley experiences. So being able to speak to someone and say, we're looking for a sophisticated, established team to work with that is generating X amount revenue alone, 6-figure coach scares me in general. Just because that's a very, I feel like all of us in here are just like, yeah, we remember a 6-figure coach from Instagram. And it's not necessarily the best feeling of like, we don't feel aligned.
Yeah, that's definitely not a word I want to use.
Yeah. So then maybe establish revenue markers around XYZ. That's an okay thing to put into position. And then talking about specifics to the industry. So what kind of coach? Bye, Krista. Thank you. What kind of coach, and like the descriptors of what you do want. I think when we have personal beliefs inside, it accidentally comes out in imprintation inside of our content as well. So that's the healing part of like, okay, we've had 2 poor associations with 6-figure coaches. How can we have 5 positive associations with 6-figure coaches? And I think you'll do that through building relationships first, being like, oh, this person's very kind, asking them information about their back end, like how is work going? Are you currently working with a lot of clients? Of course, that's built first through like the Ford theory and the 10,000 word theory, but then you'll be able to ask those deeper questions and understand, do they have an established back end, and am I going to be able to plug into it like a corporate focus? Or is this a 2-year startup where they're like 10 months from failing if they don't get their shit together, which is a lot of startups. So I think the 6-figure coaching industry kind of can act like that too, of like, well, I'm coaching so much, so now I need to hire all these people because I think I need to fill these departments, but then there's no training and there's no leadership information. So there's just like, we could go so deeply on that.
How do I word that I don't want to work with coaches who coach coaches to coach coaches? Sorry.
We'll do the opposite and say we want to work with coaches. Like the MLM of coaches. That was like really big this summer. Like I saw a lot of content that was just like, it's like the MLM of coaches around here.
It is.
Yeah. So we would say the opposite. We want coaches that are in this industry. Impact-driven coaches, that's good. Do you have a specific, like, what do you want them to be doing as a coach?
My absolute favorite is to work with photographers.
Right. Yeah.
I bridge really well between the creative mind who wants pixel perfect stuff and actually getting the tech to wrangle the tech into their vision. So I work well with people that are very visual, sort of creatives.
Okay. So I just dropped Creative Law Shop into the chat. She is one of our consulting clients, and she's currently launching. They made it really cute. It's basically like cocktail and conversations with a lawyer. To have like a Facebook group very similar to this experience, just for one night though, of creatives in the room. And there's lots of wedding creatives and photographers. So even the wedding creators could be a good referral base for photographers. And I know a lot of them are looking at the state of the market and saying like, we may not be booking as high end of photography clients right now. Maybe we should pivot to education. So I think it's $77 right now before it rises. And we're expecting at least 100 to 200 people to join. So that would be a really good place. But even their likes and comments and their followers and following, if you wanted to stay in the free arena as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And going down the rabbit hole of hashtags of just creative photographers will be great. And of course, you'll jump on their Instagram and be like, okay, you're the real deal. You'll go to their website and be like, okay, you're real. You could educate some people. But that's why we like to say instinct and intuition. So listen to your intuition when you're like, could be a repeat.
Yeah. So I have to get onto Instagram.
Yes.
Like all of you are like, Instagram. It's like, I even said to Ash in the DMs, I'm like, I'm sorry, it took so long to respond. I'm hardcore on you.
Where do you like to hang out?
I live on Facebook.
Oh, then do Facebook groups. Don't even go on Instagram. Just find your creative folk. Or, I mean, you're asking most likely a high package, right? So you could just start Googling photographers in X area, see what websites populate in the first 10 or so pieces on Google. Because that means they're really established if they're working on their SEO and backlinks like that, which might be a really good fit instead of the the two that you had.
Well, the ones we have are fantastic. They're lovely clients, and they're building. I mean, my first client, well, she has become my perfect client. She is my kind of avatar. She's a very niche photographer teaching other photographers this very niched service. She's the only one doing it in the world. Well, there's now people popping up after seeing that she's had success with it. But like, she started off with a 20K launch, her first launch, and she's just had an 85K launch.
Good. Oh my gosh.
18 months with us. Well, 2.5 years with us. Her first launch was November 2020, and she's just launched now at 85K.
That's
So,
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
do you jump into like the referral train? Like, have you asked her for friends at all?
I have, and I've asked the others as well. And with the world opening up, the photographers are now taking more photos again. So they're not spending as much time networking anymore as well. But yeah, hopefully the recession plays in our favor again. 2020 was our best year ever.
Yeah.
Because everybody needed a tech VA to get online.
That is so true. I feel like that would be fun to see in your content too. Like, here's why 2020 was so great for us, but also looking at the state of the market, just remember having something that's not just you out in the world taking photos is a good thing to have. Like, especially someone that's been in business for 5 to 7 years, like that's the sweet spot for photographers so often to be like, okay, I'm exhausted. Unless you're paying me 20K to be there, I will not be there with a backpack on my back. So, yay. Cheers to that. Did that help?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, y'all. I feel like we're kind of at time, but we could go for 10 more minutes if we have any more questions. I feel like we're good though. Ashley, I know it's loud in Starbucks, so I just want to check on you again. Make sure you're okay. Make sure you don't have any cues. And same with you, Ingrid. You said soaking it all in. Okay, awesome. Bye, Ariana. Thank you for coming. Okay, share your small question. No small questions, big questions. We're changing your business. You're so funny. Erin, you make me want to go get my hair done. I have the
I have bad news. It's going to be brown by the end of the week.
what?
The colors, like you look at yourself with pink or blue hair every day for like 3 months, you're like,
I'm done now.
get out of here, lady.
It cracked me up. Well, it feels like your pink hair is for the experience. I know it's not, but it just feels like
it is. I told you, green velvet, pink hair, that's how I'm showing up. We're going to do a photo shoot.
Yeah, tell Yuji that you're buying the suit. Ashley said, I've had a lot of ghosting this year more than ever. Is anyone else noticing that? And this is after an amazing inquiry call, not just DMs. Ooh, okay. Emma said it's the commitment to branding for me. So after the inquiry call, if you can share, even if it's loud, like feel free to come on. What were you noticing any objections during the inquiry call, or was it straight up like, this is going to be the best and I'm so ready, and then we're just out, which is the worst? It feels like bad dating. I think you were here yesterday as well, but it just feels like bad dating, like speed dating. Oh no. Ash, do you hear us? And then nothing. Okay. Hey, feel free to come on off mute. I just want to have a conversation with you. With
Sorry.
yeah, I love your sweater. When they seem super on board and then nothing, doing the proposal to them, and then do you follow up like 2 or 3 times after that as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys connecting on social, or where are they finding you?
Have socials and have referral at this point.
Okay. And which is a better conversion rate on the regular for you?
Typically referral. This year specifically, last year it was solely Instagram was like my main lead generation and eventually like booking. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It's like bizarre this weird. Like we'll have like a really good call, like we're like vibing, like we're best friends, and then I just don't ever hear anything back. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be hurt if you go with someone else. Like there's so many designers. Like I get it. So I opened them on the back, like, please let me know either way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
I mean, I might a little. No, just kidding.
I mean,
but
rejection still hurts.
Yes, and like, so this year I'm figuring out that I probably have ADHD, and a part of that is like fear of rejection. So like, I was always like, why am I so sensitive about this stuff? But that would be why. But I think as like I grow in my business, like it's becoming not more common, but like because you're talking to more people, obviously you're going to have more rejection. So I'm just like maybe getting used to it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to fix it because I can't email them and be like, hey, why didn't we book? Because they just don't respond back. And I'm like, no, it's weird. And it doesn't, I've not noticed like just like a one-woman show, or if it's like a big company that's like a bigger quote, like it ranges from small business to larger business. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I can't figure out what because I just can't get them to respond. And okay, I'm glad Shannon has the same issue because I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Literally like what she and I are working on in Voxer today. It's like,
yeah, okay, good to know.
we all work on like objections constantly. Or nothing, just like pure silence. So this silence, you said, please let me know either way. Are you stating in that first proposal, I'm going to be checking in by X date to hear whether you're moving forward or not?
I don't say like a specific date, so maybe that's something that I can implement, like just letting them know. A few times it was a larger company, so I know that they had like other bids that were coming in. Oh yeah, proposals expired. That's a good one. But I do work with smaller companies that are like thinking about, I don't know. Sorry, you can see my ADHD coming out. Okay, thoughts. Hold on. First, proposals expire. I wanted to do that, but I think with my business and maybe your businesses too, it kind of takes a little bit of time for maybe someone to be like ready for branding, right? So they're like reaching out, they're talking to people, and then they're deciding like if in a couple months they're going to rebrand. So that's like I always say like this expires in 6 months because typically I will raise my prices at least once a year. So that's kind of why those expires, because I'm not booking at those prices anymore. But I could try and be like, hey, I'm going to follow up within a week. And I always try to do that. I just don't say it. So sorry, this is so loud and you can't hear me.
You're making me want to go to Starbucks. Like, I'm just like, that beep, 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 like the espresso's done.
Right?
Okay, so let's talk about small, like maybe one person shows first. Giving them a time frame of like, I'm going to check back in to walk through questions would be really good. With the other businesses, we have clients that go for like corporate or smaller startups, and We had a client that just landed a really big name, and it took them 6 months to apply, but it was still so good for her to follow up. So she didn't do an expiration on the proposal. She really wanted to work with them. She's going to have a site tag. So she was just like, ooh, I want to keep it no matter what. But she did say, I'm going to check in every month to see how this process is moving. And so they just kept the relationship going, even though it was like taking a little while. And she continued to engage with all of their channels. So she was constantly top of mind, even if it was just for, potentially an admin or associate that didn't really carry that up on the line. Our hope was that if this admin person sees it and talks to a director, that director will know like, oh, well, this person, this client has been, or this potential client, nope, this potential service provider has been continuing to check in, whereas these other bids haven't. And so kind of like hacking the hiring process in your mind is helpful too, which adds into the customer journey. So that's very, very separate. I wouldn't do a proposal expiration for a bid if it's going to take a little bit longer, but I would ask during the call, when are you expecting for all bids to be in? So we can check back in accordingly. That might be helpful and shows them that you're taking initiative by asking kind of an awkward question, like knowing that there's other competition. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I feel like 9 times out of 10 with my business, they're talking to more than one person. It's almost rare for them to not be. So, but I always like on the calls, I try to come in with like the value versus like, this is what it is, this is what it costs. And I feel like that's been helpful in like getting successful bookings over the last like 2 years. So I don't know, I think I might just have to shift a little something, but also what you're saying is like putting a deadline on like maybe the bigger ones, or saying, hey, I know you're probably talking to other designers. Yeah. I did have one where I did that with, and they told me, they're like, hey, yeah, we're talking to other designers. We'll be back next week. And then they just never heard from them. It was bizarre. I know that happens every now and then, but it's happened a lot this year. So I'm just like,
but if you're noticing a pattern, no.
Yes. I'm like, am I doing something wrong here?
No. I mean, there's always ways to optimize, but I don't want you to get into like wrong. I highly doubt wrong.
Right.
I would also say, like, are you, after you send that proposal, are you kind of just waiting for that email or before you reach back out and not like connecting on social and staying top of mind, kind of like surrounding them with love and support, but also notating that we're building a relationship and we've taken it to the next step. So I don't want to just like dating. If you have a great date with a guy and then you don't hear from him for a week, you will start to get into that like, well, did this not go well? I thought it did.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I think it's definitely something I can work on, so I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But for maybe like the referral based ones, I don't really like have a connection with them on social just yet. So maybe that's something that I could do, is reach out to them on social and just show that like maybe I'm like committed to them. You know what I mean? That could be a good solution.
That's so good.
Yeah. I haven't had to date in like very long.
I know. Same. I'm like 8 years in. I don't remember what that's like, but
yeah.
There was something else I was going to say to you. Since you're having to like build rapport with referrals, which can get a little awkward if we feel like a little weird, saying like, oh, can we go ahead and like follow each other on Instagram or Facebook during the call also shows that extra speed dating commitment of like, we're not just going to send you a proposal and then be done. Just think of little like tweaks and ways to delight people and show that old-fashioned service of I'm going to take the extra step so you don't have to.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good. And I think 2023 or moving into that, like this is my year about like really focusing on customer journey, and customer experience, just because what I am doing is more expensive. So I feel like I have to up my customer experience probably want to up my prices anymore. So
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
something I always like forget about, right? You're so focused, like working on this over here, like, uh-oh. So yeah, that's definitely something that's a focus. So I can just kind of tie that right in.
Yeah.
Good to know I'm not alone.
You're not alone.
Like, uh-oh, what have I done?
If you're like noticing ghosting, I would increase touch points and like some margin and boundaries of I'm going to be here for you and I'm also going to check in with you. And it's great to say like this is why we check in. So I'll say that to our potential consulting clients, like if you're currently interested in consulting, so are several others, and therefore we don't want it to be like first come first serve without information. Like we just want you to know that there's other people too. And that gives us not urgency or scarcity in a negative way, but more like, oh, okay, she's in demand and she's in value. So if we're booking for discovery calls at a certain time, we are in value. So make sure it's like ethical, obviously, or in demand, excuse me, to not like lie about spots and all of that. But as a designer, there's so much that goes into what you do that it's like totally the truth. There's so much on your plate when you take someone on.
Yeah. Yes. And I always let them know, like on the call, like, hey, just so you know, I only have 2 spots per month. And that is because what I'm doing is extremely custom, extremely high touch, like touch points. So I can't work with more than 2 people at a time or 3 people at a time because it just won't have the same effect for you, right? I always let them know it's for them. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't do as good of a job if I worked with that many people. So yeah, so that's something that I let them know. Can I ask how many times about like you follow up until you don't follow up anymore? Because I always borderline on them feeling like I didn't touch or I didn't follow up enough, and then I like harass them. You know what I mean? Don't want people to feel harassed.
No, I sure do. We have a standard of we send out the proposal, we jump on Instagram, say, hey, we just landed that proposal in your inbox with like a voice memo. And we check in 1 week later and we let them know we're going to. If I don't hear back 3 days later, I'll check in one more time. And then if we don't hear back, I'll give it 1 more week, start touching up on Instagram or wherever we are. And that's usually continuing even during this process, but it gets like increased. So they potentially remember that we're in this conversation. We're trying to like move the relationship forward and we stay top of mind. So that last and third time, if they don't respond within a week, I'll reach back out 1 more time and say, thank you so much for your interest. It was so great talking to you. We had a great call. We're going to go back to just cheerleading you on social. If you want to reach back out when you're ready, please do. That way it leaves an open door and not an awkward, like, I ghosted her, I can never talk to her again. Very much like dating. Like if a guy popped in our DMs after what, a month, we'd be like, bye boy. You didn't talk to me at all.
Men always have the audacity, right? Us as women never, but like, you know, I'm just saying.
The audacity. I love it. Exactly that. And I feel like that helps so much with your customer journey and your experience. Like that's already a great shift. Major mode unlocked. So, okay, we lost like half of our group and I didn't even say bye to any of them. So glad everyone said bye. Angela is about to teach us how to make a cocktail over in the Facebook group. So I'm gonna go grab some water. I'll see you guys over there. But thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. Ingrid, I'm gonna check on you on Instagram. I hope you guys have the best afternoon.